Good evening. Welcome to WBS Weekend Prime News Live. I am Anita Mwanguzi, and for those celebrating Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's. Let's have a look at what's coming up tonight.
I've already passed a resolution of the district to help us curtail this kind of action.
Padere District ponders bylaws to fight bushfires destroying infrastructure. Democratic Party recruits 500 new members in Mukono District ahead of 2016.
Thank you for looking at us as a role model couple.
The Valentine's Day excitement as Ugandans mark the Day of Love. And Philip Kipyeko beats Kipsiro in the men's distance run in Jinja. Welcome. Acholi and Lango sub-regions are offering for bylaws to curtail communities from setting up night bushfires that are destroying homes, farms and installations of electricity. Already, over 50 homesteads have faced the wrath of these fires, especially because most homes still have grass-thatched huts. According to the chairperson LC5 Padere District, Alfred Akena, these fires have caused enormous destruction even on newly installed electric poles that saw the region getting connected to the electricity grid.
It is a rare opportunity for a traveler to Acholi and Lango sub-regions to miss such a sight as farmers prepare for the next season. Whereas some farmers do it for clearing land for crop agriculture, to those rearing animals, the practice is to get fresh grass for their animals when it rains. But this practice among these communities has come with challenges as many homesteads have had their huts too burnt by the same fires. 74-year-old Alejiro Dongtho from Pajule Sub-County, Padere District, is one of those sleeping in the cold after his home was burnt down.
As the fire went the other side, for them they were relaxed, knowing that there was nothing wrong. This one just came silently and they found the house as well, they caught fire.
Ever and ever we are receiving a number of maybe destruction coming from this fire, bush burning. Like there is certain family with everything got lost, including all the crops, some animal which was tied alongside the veranda also got burned. So it has been a very serious disappointment to local leaders. So they are really working hard.
Odongtho set fire on Friday from his nearby farm field that cleared his own homestead. He hardly saved anything from his hut.
The husband and the wife and 2 children.
A government, with the help of development partners, could have injected in a lot of money to extend power to northern Uganda, especially those in remote areas with the view of transforming rural communities. But the communities here seem not to have appreciated this huge investment due to these poor farming practices that has also left most of the power lines burnt down.
Traditionally, people think burning bush is one of the opening of land for the next period.
Now, Padere and other district authorities are coming up with bylaws to curtail this disastrous practice.
We have already passed a resolution of the district, and we are organizing the ordinance of the council to help us curtail this kind of action of bush burning. So I am very sure when all this comes out, is going to help us.
This as the chairperson blames the distribution companies for not offering protection to the installed poles after installation.
They have a component of their budget to protect these poles. They need to dig around. Even if there is bush or whatever not there, you need to dig around the poles to protect it. And this is negligent also of duties from our officials.
If If nothing is done to stop the bushfires, the practice is threatening to take back the region to a situation of blackout.
An our fire has gutted a warehouse belonging to Brothers Investment, a Chinese company in Lunguja, Rubaga division, destroying property worth millions of shillings. It took police over 5 hours to put out the fire that is now suspected to have started following a short circuit.
The fire is believed to have started last night, but it is reported that a police fire brigade took time to access the warehouse due to lack of access routes and poor drainage systems, as the officer in charge of Lunguja police station explains.
They've tried to put the fire off, but we failed. Around midnight, the fire was too much because what was inside, it is a electrical. It was a petroleum product, that is bag, Puritan papers, shoes, plastic shoes, which belongs to Brothers Investment for Chinese. Police tried to put off this fire and it delayed because of one thing: the access road where the firefighters can reach there was not there. It is only one side.
Police battled with the fire for hours until it ran out of water. The fire brigade had to go for Plan B using a bulldozer to put down the wall of the warehouse to find out exactly where the fire was coming from. Police suspects the fire was caused by a short circuit.
In other news now, the Democratic Party in Mukono district has recruited over 500 members as it prepares for the 2016 general elections as part of strengthening its wings in the district. While launching the campaign, Party Secretary General Matthias Nsubuga said this is the time for DP members to unite so as to be able to win majority positions in all levels in the 2016 general elections.
Top Democratic Party leaders are in Mukono for the launch of recruiting new members to the party as they prepare forthcoming general elections in 2016. While launching up the campaign held at St. Paul Catholic Yard at Wantoni Trading Center in Mukono Municipality, Matthias Nsubuga told party members that this is the time for them to unite to be able to win elections.
President Museveni ne bw'abanga alina emmundu enzirizitya tayinza kusobola muntu wa bulijjo. Era njagala okubasaba, tulina enjawukana nnyingi, tulina okusomoozebwa kungi, naye ebintu ebimu tutuuse okubisiba ku mpagi tumuvinge.
Ekiba eky'obuntu bulamu era eky'amagezi amangi, be bantu bano buli omu okuva mu mmotoka ye ne basooka basitula ettiimu ki, kati ettiimu erimala ova mu kkubo. Other
opposition members who attended the recruitment exercise include Medad Gluvega Segona, Dr. Lulume Baiga, and Moses Kasiwante, among others, who asked the youth to rise up and fight for their political rights.
Ebintu emiramu ekyateekanga ono okukuumira gavumenti muyinza nga n'abantu bagikkirizaamu gy'abeeranga gino. Gavumenti ng'ekola enguudo, eno yammwe ekola.
Naye nga mwangalidde emyaka 30 ku mukono gwa President Museveni akulembedde gavumenti esinza okunyunyunta eggwanga kasookedde nga tukina bwetwaze. Eyo emmandwa kanyuunyunsi gye njogerako. Ababadde n'abamu ku bajja naye nga Dr. Besigye babadde batubuulira nti baakoma omulaba akwate obwa pulezidenti Nabingo ng'akutte kaveera nga mu kaveera mulimu kaswaki na ddagala ly'amannyo yajja na kaveera tatikaloole.
The campaign ended when DP recruited over 500 members from Mukono town who are given party cards.
Maternal, newborn and child mortality and morbidity rates in Amuru district have been reduced by 10% in the last 3 years, officials say. This is due to a rise in antenatal care visits by expectant mothers at health centers, improving from 34% to 96% in the last 3 months, and at least 3.3% of women completing full antenatal visits during pregnancy.
Amuru figures rose by 1% above the national rate of mothers who receive antenatal care from skilled providers since Uganda Demographic Health Survey in 2006. Amuru health officials say the antenatal care visits have provided opportunities to mothers to get health messages. Antenatal care from trained providers is vital for monitoring the pregnancy, reducing morbidity risks for mothers and child during pregnancy and delivery. Beatrice Saneki is expecting and lives 3 kilometers away from Langomboli Health Center 3. A mother of 2 children now waits to see her third born in April.
I visited the health center only once because of abundant domestic workload, like weeding, and there is no time. My last delivery caught me at home, and when I went to the health center, they did not give me mama kits because they want to discourage birth at home.
However, the quality of antenatal care relates to mother's education, place of residence, as well as birth order of her infant. In Orao Health Center 3, the only borehole in the area, serving an entire village, is broken down, forcing the midwives to suspend deliveries. Lillian Adong is a volunteer midwife.
We conduct deliveries in the health center. In a week, we can have like 6 to 7 deliveries, but currently we have stopped it yesterday because we have no water. It's difficult for us to conduct deliveries without water. Then the second one came immediately, and the place was so messy because there was no water, there was no enough. And then the mother brought another water, I cleaned, then the other one entered in.
Antenatal, we can receive like 60, 100. We are having those drugs like ampicillin and Gienta. For treatment, we can give them like for 5 days. Bleeding. In case of bleeding, we can treat using oxytocin. We have oxytocin, then we have metacrosols. Staffing is not enough because I'm alone.
Many mothers now take hospital deliveries as good because of the package they receive, like the health commodities and mama kits packages.
At the health center, they give you the mama kits. There's a coat ligature, there's a towel, we give you a bar of soap, and other small things they give them. So this one also this one has pulled them from delivering at home to come and deliver at the health center.
What this mother requires, the pregnant mothers require things to do like deworming, which our facility have, immunization, which we do give. We give the ferrous sulfate, the folic acid, those things are there. So as far as maternal child health is concerned, the communities in terms of medicines.
Despite the strides made by Amuru, there exist some challenges as shortage of power, transport facilities, health workers and accommodation, among others, and efforts at drastically reducing maternal and child mortality.
Now, many Ugandans today joined the rest of the world to mark Valentine's Day, a day when couples celebrate their love. Lovers celebrated the day in different ways, with WBS TV giving a gift to a couple voted by you, our viewer. Some couples marked the day by taking their marital vows. We now bring you the details of all of that.
The streets were busy as lovers bought gifts for their loved ones or people they consider special to them. This included flowers, cosmetics, bags, bears, among others. Among these, flowers were the most sought for item, with sellers cashing in between 10,000 to 50,000 shillings for the flowers. Many as well follow the tradition of cloth color, donning red and black for the day. Instead, Some couples decided to take their marital vows on this day.
Of course, it is exciting. This is a day you can't forget in your life. So I think we are very blessed to have our wedding on this day.
Some families decided to spend their Valentines together for a meal.
This today special day, Valentine's Day, we are handle special and service. We are know which is the best one. Take care the quality and the quality.
WBS TV gave an offer to a couple chosen by the fans. You, our fans, chose Jose Chameleon and his wife as your best couple, and they win themselves a night at Lake Victoria Serena Hotel.
I started my day already. My two sons are competing for the swimming challenges where they're going to pick the people to represent Uganda and Angola. So that's how I started my day. But I mean, as the night falls down, of course, I'm going to pick my baby girl.
Thank you for looking at us as a role model couple. We are glad.
Entertainment places as well took advantage of the day to host couples and provide them good facilities to celebrate the Lovers' Day.
Happy Valentine's. Well, we're so glad you're still watching WBS Prime News Live. Let's now have a reminder of our top stories. Padera District ponders bylaws to fight bushfires destroying infrastructure. The Democratic Party recruits 500 new members in Mukono District ahead of 2016. And the Valentine's Day excitement as Ugandans mark Day of Love.
Load the airtime knowing it's easy. You get it all back with Chizzy. All the airtime you spend, Chizzy. At the end of the month, Chizzy.
1K, 2K, 5K, Chizzy. 10K, 20K, 30K. Chizzy. Airtime you spend is refunded. Talk and talk with Chizzy. Uganda Telecom's got something.
Get back your airtime with Chizzy from Uganda Telecom. Dial star 100 hash, select Chizzy and get the total amount you spend in a month refunded. This refund can be used for calls and SMSs to all networks for the next 30 days from Uganda's most affordable telecom service. Uganda Telecom. It's all about you.
Do you recall the last time garbage in your neighborhood was collected? Have you ever experienced garbage spillage trails along your road? Now that will be history. Spear Motors brings you a hygienically safe and labor-efficient garbage compactor truck. Unlike ordinary garbage trucks, this garbage compactor truck completely covers the waste and carries 20 tons of garbage. There is 0% spillage and much fewer trips to the dumping site. The garbage compactor truck is a self-loader. Only 2 men are required for the whole operation. Local authorities and private garbage collectors, the garbage compactor truck is now available at Spear Motors, Nakawa.
This is WBS Weekend Prime News Live. Welcome back, and we return on a sad note. Assistant Inspector General of Police AIGP Julius Sharita is dead. The senior police officer died on Saturday morning in the United States of America, where he's been working as Uganda Police's attaché to the Ugandan Embassy in New York. Sharita previously worked as the Director of Research and Planning in the police force before he was transferred to New York. He also chaired the Uganda Police Review Steering Committee in 2006 to propose ways of improving the force. Sharita joined the police force on the 1st of February 1987 as a cadet, having undergone training at the then Police College in Naguru. Reports suggest he died of cancer that he has been suffering from. He leaves behind a widow, Jane Sharita, and his children, Geoffrey Justice, Julian, Juliet, Jean, Joshua, Leonard, and Stephen. Arrangements to transport his body home for burial are in place. May his soul rest in eternal peace. In other news, Kawempe Muslim School conducts a health expo and camp as one way of motivating their students to take science subjects, especially medicine. The camp was organized by former students of the school who studied medicine and are currently practicing, also as part of activities to mark 30 years of existence of the school.
We have various specialists. We have ENT specialists, so we are treating all the diseases in that specialist. We are treating the obstetrics and gynecology. We are treating all the mothers with their different aspects. We are screening for cancer cervix. We are treating also the general medical patients.
In our country, we are aware that it needs many more doctors. The doctors we have are not enough. So it needs some kind of motivation to convincing the students that this medical field is fine and it is possible to if work very hard to join it. So if they see their colleagues who are here some years back, not many years ago, if they see them now treating people, they are motivated. And I'm sure that by the end of this camp we shall have had some students converted towards taking up the medical profession. This medical camp, okay, this was meant for as we're celebrating 30 years of excellency. But however, we intend our doctors, I think, will organize at least every year. We should have such a function because we have seen that people really need.
Uganda's performance in the Millennium Development Goals registers mixed results, with goals like poverty reduction achieved while fighting HIV and reducing maternal mortality rates registered reverses. The education sector registered gains, but the gains have not been consolidated because of the numerous school dropouts. We spoke to Dr. Joseph Muvawala, the Executive Director, National Planning Authority, who says that implementation remains Uganda's biggest challenge, even as calls on government to invest in guided resource exploitation to increase Uganda's chances of growth. It is 2015, and this particular year was supposed to mark the end of the targets of the Millennium Development Goals. Uganda has seen some significant growth in so many areas: reduction of poverty levels, the maternal mortality rates, the child mortality rates. So many areas have seen growth, but have we grown as fast as we should have? And have we achieved the Millennium Development Goals set for 2015? We're joined in studio to discuss this, Uganda's progress and overall performance in the Millennium Development Goals. We are joined by Dr. Joseph Muvawala, who's the Executive Director, National Planning Authority. You're welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Looking at the Millennium Development Goals, this is 2015. How have we performed as a country overall?
I think the best way to sum it up is mixed progress. Our performance has been mixed. Good in some aspects, on track in others, and reversal on others.
Can you be more specific? Which areas have we performed best?
I think the areas that we've performed best is reducing poverty, and hunger. That one we're on track. We have also performed well in gender equality. We have performed well in universal provision, but we have not performed well in completion.
Completion?
Completion of the primary education cycle. We have a very low, less than 30% of every 100 that we enroll complete the P7 cycle. And yet the target is on completion. It's just not just on enrollment. We have not performed well. We have reversed on HIV.
prevalence. The reasons are known. They're a little bit technical. Because when you introduce antiretrovirals, people live longer. People forget about that. So the base is widening. So technically it's negative, but on the other side it is positive, that people are living longer. We have reversed on maternal mortality. That is a very, very big concern that we need to look at as a government. And many African countries have not done well on the partnership. Those who promised resources have not delivered on those resources. And then sustainability, environmental, we have not also done very well. So it is mixed. You have good performance, and you have reversals, you have on track, and some not very good performance.
Some people have argued that African countries have, at the beginning and at the start of these Millennium Development Goals, were not in the best of positions to execute them. Overly ambitious plans that even governments had no notion on how to achieve them.
Yes.
Could that be one of the reasons why we are still fledgling and not in one particular position?
I would like to take the other perspective. I agree with you that these plans were ambitious, that these plans, the implementation capacity of some African countries was limited, and the financing ability was also limited, and that the ownership was not as good as it should have been. But imagine they didn't exist. Take them as a norm. That is the positive bit of it. Take them as a norm. Help you to focus.
Yes.
You may not achieve the target, but have you made progress?
So have
Poverty.
we made progress?
We have made progress. Poverty. We are less than, we are moving towards 14% by the international definition of $1 per day. And for me, I could have another argument. Ugandans spend more than $1 per day anyway. Education, we've made progress. We've made progress in enrolling. We may have challenges in quality. So now we have to deal with the quality challenges. So for me, what I see these targets are that they help us focus. They give us some kind of a vision. Where do you want to be over a period of time? And these are targets that these countries, like ours, should not drop.
Yes, now you mentioned areas where we've done well and areas where we have not done so well. How do we strategize for the future to make sure that we actually do better than we have done?
I think the critical thing for us to do better is that we must have our own resources. If you notice, our GDP to revenue has been averaging 13% before rebasing. Now when you rebase the economy, we go back to 11%, about. And for this country to be able to implement what it wants to implement, we should have a revenue to GDP ratio of 25%, minimum. That's why you see that Kenya is able to survive when donors say, we will not give you resources. We must reach a level of where we can finance our own budget. If we get 25%, trust me, the issue that we'll now have is the issue of probity. How do you use the resources? Where? Right now, if you wanted to look at HIV, for example, 99% of the funding is from outside this country.
True.
We need close to 500 billion to maintain the speed. Now, if those resources get out of this economy and we're not collecting revenue, how are we going to sustain the HIV gains?
You mentioned sustainability.
Yes.
Most of the plans that we set, the targets we set, sustainability remains a big challenge. Just like you said, we've had a reversal with HIV, we've had a reversal with the maternal mortality rates. Usually it's sustainability. Why are we failing to sustain any gains that we achieve?
Two things: implementation weaknesses, and two, finances. I'll give you an example. When UPE was started, the per capita per kid was 9,000. How many years later? The per capita per kid is 6,000. What is happening? that things are becoming cheaper now than they were many years ago?
Of course not.
Of course not. So the point is, for me, every time I get lost in the woods, I go back to the beginning point, basics. We must have our own resources. We must be prepared to pay tax. There is no question about it.
You're talking about having our own resources, but
Yes.
you said it before. We have the resources.
Yes, the resources are in this country, and we have them. We have to collect them. Now the challenge is that we have to collect those resources. How many of us pay rent? How many of us pay tax on the rent houses that we have? How many of us hold land and we don't pay taxes? The other day I was saying we were complaining about a tax on income on private schools, but it's on income, for God's sake. You don't earn it, you don't pay it.
Yes, but then you're talking about complaining about income on
Yes.
private schools. Most people don't even understand when you start talking about taxing the income. Most people don't know what this even means.
That's the point. The duty now is for my sister in Revenue Authority to teach them. I could do that another time if you invite me. But the point is, we must, as Ugandans, take responsibility of our economy. What I am saying, the target number 8, which was on global partnership, was mainly about financing. It was the most underperforming target. The financing was never availed. But we had taken targets that require resources. Now, where do the resources come from? From within this country. We must pay our taxes, and we must now ask us who are in government to account.
Looking at the future, we are already setting targets. What do we do differently?
Right now, we are setting targets for the Sustainable Development Goals. This time, they're sustainable.
No more Millennium Development Goals.
They are sustainable. Sustainable in a way that now they have taken the entire, they have added the productive side. If you notice, these goals were more on the social side.
True.
Now they have added the productive side. No wonder many countries shunned them a little bit. You continue working on poverty, 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 without working on those fundamentals that you need to have in place to deal with poverty. Now the new sustainable goals allow us to deal with infrastructure, to deal with environmental issues, to deal with financing issues, and they have targets even on revenue collection in the countries. But all we have to do differently in this country is still the same. We have to change the architecture of government. While people tell you that private sector is the engine of growth, the engines don't drive vehicles. There must be a driver. Government is the driver. We must reduce duplications within the government, because a lot of ministries are doing the same thing and ending up competing and confusing the public.
That much is true.
Yeah, we end up confusing the public. I am in charge of monitoring, someone else is in charge of monitoring, someone else is in charge of monitoring. You are all issuing different reports at the same time. So we need, under the leadership of the Prime Minister, to have a coordinated government, to also reduce on expenditure on consumption. So we go for the productive side, such that we can generate resources for consumption. We need to deal with governance issues, because we lose a lot of money. And these cases are many in this country. And it's not my job to talk about them, but it is critical that for every little resource we get, we use it well.
As
going
we're
forward.
talking about the future,
Yes.
there is the aspect of the gap between the poor and the rich. You mentioned that it's actually growing wider by the day. How are we going to engage majority of the Ugandan population? How is it going to be made part of the development process so that they are not left behind?
Yes, when you look at our Gini coefficient, it is worsening. And it is true of many developing economies. It is true. It will always happen as you grow. The challenge is how you address that gap. When you look at the theme of the plan, it has inclusive. That is the intention. It recognizes that we have a widening gap. Now we have to include. Not only include in people get it wrong. They think inclusion is just participation. That when I meet you and you don't have money and I give you money, I've included you. I haven't. We include you, and improve your productivity.
So how is that?
So if we don't do that, for example, for the youth, if we don't get them what to do, that's not inclusive. And they must be productive. So how is it going to be done? 1, add value to agriculture. 2, target industrialization. 3, implement the labor laws properly. And in addition to that, look at the immigration in this country. I can assure you that if we do the immigration well, we can shed jobs that foreigners are taking for locals.
But then,
you see them on the street, don't you?
Yes, you mentioned the aspect of relevance.
Yes.
Our very own people most times are not relevant to the needs of this very own country.
Yes.
So they need to be equipped to be relevant so that even the systems we have in place trust them enough to make them part of the system.
That is part of dealing with the issues, that the structure of the education in this country. And you know, the interesting bit is that we all know it. We know the problem.
Yes.
I think Uganda is one of the best countries in diagnosing the problem. But we don't do very well in implementing what we propose. So at the end of the day, it goes back to what do you implement? We have reviewed curriculum, but we have not reviewed the most important curricula, which is vocational and technical education. And that's we have to prioritize, and prioritize now. Actually, we have to decentralize it to the lowest level. Because the speed at which government responds is very slow compared to the speed at which the industry change. And yet we are saying we should produce people that are relevant to the world of work. So the world of work should be driving the curricula, not the other way around. Researchers in National Development Center.
That brings us to the issue of inclusion.
Yes.
I think you also talked about getting the people who are actually providing the jobs to be part of the drafting of the curriculum.
Indeed.
So that when people go to study, they are studying for the relevance of the economy.
That is true. And that is simple to do. I have seen it in Arusha, just here, neighboring though, in Tanzania. They have decentralized the curricula and created a curriculum advisory committee at the institutional level. And the guys who sit on that committee are industry, where the schools are located, the school itself, the technical people, and the different arms. So any change in the curricula is quickly captured at that level, implemented, and then sent to the center for adoption.
Okay.
And when you go to Arusha, you would see the difference that it makes decentralizing your curricula to the institutional level. And it's not a very difficult thing. Some of us have done it. That's what we've been doing. So I think we have, for this country, we have the best brains. We only need to position them in the right place.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
That was Dr. Joseph Mubawala discussing with us our performance in the Millennium Development Goals and looking towards the future, the Sustainable Development Goals. While you're still watching WVS Prime News Live, let's have a reminder of our top stories. Hadera District ponders bylaws to fight bushfires destroying infrastructure. Democratic Party recruits 500 new members in Mukono District ahead of 2016. And the Valentine's Day excitement as Ugandans mark Day of Love.
As community members, I think we need to change the way we act in response to violence against children. In my small way, I can be the leader in preventing violence in my community. We can all join hands as Ugandans to create child-friendly communities. I promise to work with my neighbors to create violence-free homes and communities for our children.
What's your promise?
Raising voices, because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. raising voices.
WBS invites applicants for the following career opportunities: Human Resource Manager and a News Director. Qualification: applicants must be university graduates in the relevant fields, at least 3 years relevant working experience, self-driven and can work under minimum supervision, creative